Hello, family members. I hope you're having a nice day today. I I have a topic to talk about that's a little bit heavy, but it's just been bouncing around in my skull, and I've got to get it out of there, I guess. The fact of the matter is, I've always been a disabled person. I just, and I've always been around disabled people. That's been part of my life my entire life. My dad taught profoundly mentally and physically impaired children. And, I was brought into the classroom when I was a baby, So it's definitely a situation where, like, my whole life, I have been as familiar with people with visible and invisible disabilities as anyone is ever, I mean, this is just part of my life. And I've had a hearing loss for, if not all of my life, since I was an infant. Hard to know there, right? And, I'm neurospicy. ADD or whatever, and I've dealt with depression and everything like that. But, I didn't think of myself as a disabled person because, I could still function in society. I worked, and I mean, I had a job I loved. Honestly, I had multiple jobs that I loved. I worked with kids at a group home. That was really rewarding. I worked in customer service for Amazon, which was really interesting and challenging, and it was satisfying to get to help people, and then finally to reach into the executive customer service level. That was really cool. It was neat to have that experience, and to have challenging edge cases that there weren't easy answers for, that you had to really work hard to get it right. Like, I enjoyed my life. I mean, I don't think that it's hard to see that, just listening to me talk about some of the jobs that I've had. I mean, even when I first got out of college and it was the Great Recession and I couldn't find anything like sensible to work, I worked at Ross. And I really enjoyed that job. It was nice. I got to talk to people. I got to, like, keep the store organized, which I enjoyed, and mark prices down. So I always knew exactly what was the cheapest things that you could buy in the store. I mean, it was nice. I enjoyed my part in society, and I've always been the kind of person that I do my darn best, do my darndest to do my best at any job that I have, to give it my all, and do a job I can be proud of. And then when I leave, my life is my life, and I do what I want, and it doesn't have anything to do with my job. I've always liked that separation. That's why I didn't end up working as a chiropractor. And boy, am I glad that I didn't end up going into chiropractic. I mean, obviously I got my degree, I'm Dr. Brady and all that, but I didn't get my license and didn't start practicing and make my whole life about working with my hands. It's a good thing I didn't do that, because I would have been unable to work a lot sooner than I was with the jobs that I did end up taking. So, oh gosh. Anyway, so this is all sort of a roundabout way of kind of getting to the point of this meme that I saw last night, where it said, like, a list of things that a person with a chronic illness type disability, things they wish they'd known when at the beginning of their journey with the illness that they now know. And some of it was stuff that like it's not your fault, and but one of them was, it's okay to grieve. And oh boy, did that get me. Oh boy, did that get me. Let me tell you. I mean, I struggled with that for a long time. Because, well, there's more than one reason, really. One, grieving the fact that I am disabled, unable to work, and that it's likely not going to change. Grieving that means accepting that that's the truth, that that's the case. And, I think it's probably no wonder that I was a little reluctant to try to accept that, right? I don't think that's too surprising. That, people love to live in denial, don't we? And also it felt like it was ableist, and it is ableist, And I wanted to resist the urge to grieve what I've lost, because it felt like it was insulting to people who have been living with disabilities all of their lives. I always like to say, they didn't lose anything. They're just living the life that they have. We all have our own paths, and we can't have all paths, right? So it's not so much a matter of loss, it's a matter of what you get to experience, And so I would try really hard, and I do succeed in it sometimes, to be grateful for all the wonderful things that I got to do before I got sick. I got to go to England, and I got to go to France and Iceland. That was, go to Wales. It was really, really cool to get to go do those things. And I got to travel a lot, mostly on the eastern seaboard, between like Pittsburgh and Miami most of the time, and Cleveland, maybe as far west as Cleveland, And I've had a lot of lovely experiences, concerts and theme parks and drag shows and all of these things, and I wanted so much to be grateful for that, to be grateful that I got to be a hiker and hike 5 to 7 days a week after finishing up chemo, once I got my stamina back. Like I wanted to be grateful that those things happened, because I am proud of a lot of those things, But I couldn't make any gratitude I feel replace the grief. The gratitude is there, I can feel it, but the grief is there too. And ignoring it didn't make it go away, It just doesn't. And you can't begin to process it until you accept it, accept that it's a problematic feeling. Accept what it says about you, that on some level you have these internalized ableist thoughts and feelings, Even with my privileged upbringing of knowing so many wonderful disabled people, I still had some ableism sneak in. It just, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's very easy to get away around that, you know? I don't know. It's a tough thing, you know? But it is okay to grieve, you know? Because you feel what you feel. You know, feelings in and of themselves aren't really the problem, are they? It's what you do with those feelings. If you feel the feeling and then go, wow, whoa, that was not the right thing to just think. I need to rethink this whole situation. Why did I think that? Where did that come from? How can I, you know, change the way that my thoughts are processing to avoid that? You know, you've got to learn to call yourself out. If you can't call yourself out, how in the hell are you going to call anyone else out, right? It's true, though. You've got to be able to... there's a great H. Bummer guy quote. I'm going to paraphrase, I think, probably get it wrong, but the true test of skepticism isn't proving other people wrong, but knowing when you are wrong and why you are wrong and doing something about it, you know? Like, that's it, you know? When you call yourself out and face the things within you that are imperfect, then you can address them and do better. And if you try to pretend they're not there, they're not just going to magically go away, you know? We all have internalized thoughts and feelings that come from unhealthy places, and we need to learn to accept that we feel those feelings, understand it doesn't make us a bad person, and then do something with it. Learn from it. Learn how to be better. Learn how to break those bad habits and those bad cycles. You know, the greatest capacity that humans have is to learn from ourselves and learn from each other and do better as a society, you know? And I would say the most important starting point of that is within, you know? If you can't call out your own bullshit to yourself, you are going to be misled by other people easily, because you're not going to be able to see their bullshit. Or calling out their bullshit might make you feel like you have to confront your own, and if you're trying to avoid that, you might not be inclined to, you know? I hope that at some point I don't feel grief, but maybe I will. You know, maybe that's gonna be something that I just learn to live with. You know, the truth about grief is it never has to fully go away to be healthily dealt with, you know? I still feel grief about my grandmother's deaths, both of them. But I do so in a healthy way. I did grieve them appropriately and processed it and honored them and learned from them and took from them many valuable life lessons, you know? But that doesn't mean that I'm not still going to be sad and miss them and wish that they could see certain things going on in my life, you know? Or get their comfort. My grandmother Brady, my dad's mom, and she was a nurse, and she would go to church with us every Sunday, and I'd sit next to her in the pew and look up at her, and she had such soft cheeks. She was a very tall woman. I remember her soft cheeks, and I remember her hands. And I miss her. And she died when I was still in chiropractic college. I was quite young. I was in my early 20s. But I still grieve for her. Not excessively so. It's bittersweet. Maybe that's what I should hope for. That my grief over my disability, over the massive change in my life and my loss of independence and my transition to being homebound versus out and about all the time, that maybe at some point it'll be a bittersweet grief instead of just a bitter one. Maybe I'll get there someday. Maybe that's the end goal. But if I'm gonna get there, I gotta learn to feel it, discuss it, acknowledge it. All of that, honor it, maybe in a way. Maybe that's part of it too. Maybe I do need to figure out what's the upside of the grief. Or maybe there isn't one. That's a journey that I need to take. I'm not there yet. But maybe someday. Well, I think that I've probably yammered at you long enough about this junk. So, I hope you have a lovely day, family members, and that you take care of yourself. And look at my dogs. Whoa, dogs! Casey Bear, Kimmy. I know I'm weird. I'm sorry.